Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I'm Leon Thomas, encrypted for your protection. And I
Is this a new thing? Is this a new development? Like, did you just learn about VPNs,
no,
Leon?
new. I mean, I've known about it for a while, but I haven't. It never bothered. But lately, I've been like, you know what? I could be a little less vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm joined by Johnny Maloney and Austin Yursky. We were just talking briefly before the show about encryption stuff and putting a fake mustache on your computer to make it look like you're from somewhere else.
And blood.
And also, Johnny got hurt real bad, but he's alive. That's the important thing.
Blood.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. How are you guys feeling? Besides bleeding, how are you feeling?
I'm not bleeding anymore. It happened last night. So
I didn't think you were literally bleeding right now. Like you're just like patching yourself up as you're doing.
Truth be told, if that was the case, I would do it on the podcast.
Oh, we get those squishy sounds.
I wouldn't. It wouldn't be squishy sounds. It would be probably me just being like a little bit like, oh, that stings. This bandage is not large enough. I'm disinfecting. Like, you'd get a play-by-play. But as it stands right now, my foot hurts, my ass hurts, and my lower back hurts.
Sorry about that.
So,
like I'm clumsy too, but I've never I've never injured myself that badly. Well, you know what? That's not true. I have injured myself just by sleeping wrong, but I've never injured myself in like a cool way where like I slipped on a banana peel and like fell into a cactus.
That's not a cool way. Injuring yourself in a cool way is like poking yourself in the eye when you're putting on sunglasses because you're trying to be cool.
Yeah.
And injured yourself.
At some point in time in my adult life, I made the subconscious decision that I was like, I'm an adult now. So therefore, glassware is probably the only material that I should be drinking liquids out of. Like, I've only got like 2 plastic tumblers in my entire apartment, and that's because they have a button on the bottom that makes them glow, kind of like Star Trek cups. And I've discovered, since, again, making this subconscious decision, like I did not consciously decide to myself, I should only have frangible drinkware that becomes deadly razor blades when you mishandle them. It just kind of happened. But I've discovered that I am incredibly unreliable with glassware. So, yeah, that's a thing.
Sorry.
Johnny is King Midas except for broken glass.
I most of the time, what winds up happening is I just I will break a glass and then improperly clean things up. And I walk around my house more in a state of undress than dress, which includes bare feet. So most of the time, it's just sort of like I will be walking from the bathroom to the kitchen and then step on a splinter of glass and be like, oh, look at all the blood. But last night, I stabbed myself by proxy of gravity, which I was cleaning a glass and it broke and a hefty chunk of it decided to fall in just the right spot and lodged itself into my foot.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Johnny, have you ever considered doing what I do with all of my liquids that I put into my body, which is just drink literally everything immediately out of the jug that contained it?
It now that I'm a single man living on my own. A bachelor, it has occurred to me, but then at the same time I sort of it's weird because I have these odd measuring concepts where I don't eat food in the morning. I don't have breakfast because I usually wake up feeling sick because that is my natural state of being when I'm conscious, nauseous.
Okay. Okay.
It's just a side effect of being awake, it seems. So it's like, what I will do is I will have a glass of skim milk because there's a lot of protein in there, and it usually keeps me going to the point where I can actually get some food into me. So I have these glasses where I'm like, this is a breakfast amount of skim milk. And these like particular compulsions that I have of like not having enough milk in the morning or what have you, I don't know. Like it's this weird routine that I can't seem to break.
Have you considered taking a note from Leon and using a VPN to encrypt your glassware?
Oh, well, you can rest assured, Austin, that before I drink my milk, I do put on a fake mustache.
Okay.
So that I can then have, like, a milk-laden fake mustache that I can then rip off when I get out the door and be like, nobody saw me do that.
Yes, so the dairy hackers don't steal your lactose. We all know.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Dairy hackers are a greatly underreported crime in this country. This world.
So Johnny drinks due to measurements, and I'm straight jugging it over here.
straight jugging it.
While we're talking about the most mundane thing possible and trying to make it fun, how do you drink liquids, Austin?
Bad podcast.
Are you like a centrist as it relates to this, or
just slopping dairy right into the cheese hole?
I have a big like a water bottle, and I just refill it from the tap throughout the day. I drink like a gallon of water.
Yep. That's what I do. Except mine is a big metal bottle that I put water in, like a canteen.
I have an army canteen myself. Yeah, it fits perfectly on my CBC television recording bag.
Yeah, my water's gonna be real cold in about an hour when we're done, so that's what I'm gonna do right after this. It's gonna be very good. I love this podcast we're doing this week, but if anyone has anything interesting, like jump.
Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and tell us, how do you imbibe your fluids?
It's very good. It's like, here's what you have to look forward to when you're older. Being like, gonna have a wild night when my water gets cold.
It's good. I'll just go. I watched the Super Bowl. Is that a thing we can talk? Is that a thing we can talk about?
Yeah, of course.
Who played in the Bowl of Super this year?
The Los Angeles Rams faced off against the New England Patriots,
who are, I believe, repeat offenders in this this particular contest of sport.
Yeah, they are very good over the course of many years, which I assume means that whoever owns them pays for a lot of very good athletes, which I guess is what that really means.
Untrue. Here's the part where Austin breaks it down. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, tell me all about it.
Sports Corner!
Because I know literally nothing about this, but tell me about it.
Sport me, Austin.
Yeah. So there are sports in which you can just buy the best players, and then you have the best team. That's a problem baseball had for a long time.
Chelsea Football Club.
I cannot understand a word you're saying, Johnny.
I'm talking about soccer.
Okay. But the NFL has a salary cap, so you can only pay so much, so you can't actually do that. The Kraft family, as in Kraft Mac and Cheese, owns the New England Patriots. They are profoundly, disgustingly wealthy and best friends with Trump, as are many people on the team. Tom Brady, who famously loves to mouth kiss his son for extended periods of time. They are the villains in the story. Nobody disputes this. They win.
I like how you say extended periods of time, as if like there's an acceptable period of time for a father to mouth kiss his son.
Look. If a parent gives their child a peck on the cheek, I think it's weird, but I'm not going to call Child Protective Services.
But that's that's affection. You know, like a kiss on the cheek.
There's like a viral video where Tom Brady says to his son, like, come over here and give me a kiss. And his son kisses him on the lips. And he's like, oh, that's it? That's all I get? And so his kid has to come back and like give him a longer mouth kiss.
Yeah. like Leon, that's what I'm zeroing in on here is
Okay.
the concept of the acceptable amount of time for a parent to mouth kiss their children.
I'm not the mouth kiss cops. I'll just say Tom Brady is under arrest if it was up to me.
We don't need to tone police Tom Brady's tongue. So the team is just very good. Like they work well together. Like they're all friends or something or what?
It's the power of friendship. It's an anime. No. Part of the reasons the New England Patriots are so very, very good.
Although actually, now that you mention it, I would seriously watch like an American football anime.
It exists. It's called Eye Shield 21. Rolo T, co-host on Dice Funk, says it's like one of his favorite manga of all time. So,
is it just the manga, or is there actually an anime?
I think there's an anime. I haven't watched or read either Eye Shield versions, if there's two. So
okay, I'll look into that.
However, I just wanted to. There is an American football manga. Where was I? Bill Belichick is the coach of the New England Patriots, and he's the kind of the secret sauce. He has a reputation, amongst other things, of maybe cheating.
How cartoony of villain name is Bill Belichick?
It does have that Lex Luthor kind of vibe to it, doesn't it? The alliteration.
It really does. Yeah. You know.
But you may have heard of like Deflategate, when people were supposedly taking footballs in the bathroom and deflating them. There was a part.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a thing a while ago where they were caught filming other teams' practices. They are very like villain in the 80s movie. They're at the nice summer camp, and everyone else is the plucky underdogs at the bad summer camp across the lake.
Yeah. The dude who can race down the mountain really fast on skis and is like just a dick, you know. And for 15 minutes, the girl falls in love with him, but then like John Cusack shows up.
Yeah, and I think people were hoping the Rams were going to be John Cusack in this. I mean, the Rams are an interesting story unto themselves. They were the St. Louis Rams until very recently when they went to Los Angeles, which is not a particularly football-friendly town. If anything, they usually root for the Oakland Raiders, who have not been good in a long time. That's a cool
not
story
since
unto
Bo
itself.
Jackson.
Johnny's just going to yell everything he knows about football. So what makes the Patriots so good?
That's it. That's all I know about football. I'm done.
Okay. Bill Belichick is to football coaching as Einstein was to physics. He's like a machine that was created only to coach football, and he's terrifyingly good at it. Like, I think he's a bad person. I think the world would be a better place if someone choked the life out of him with their bare hands. But you can't deny that he's very good at what he does. I actually said this the other day after we watched the Super Bowl. I was like, I'm really glad that most of the people I disagree with politically are cartoonish buffoons, just utter shit for brains, dog shit morons.
They make it so easy to hate them.
Well, that, and I was just thinking, if the GOP was stocked only with the Bill Belichicks of politics, we'd be fucked. Because he is very evil, but also very smart. And I could talk a little bit in depth here, but Leon, what did you think of the Super Bowl?
Oh, I didn't like it for a lot of reasons. One is that, look, I recognize that not every game can be like awesome, but it was pretty boring. I mean, very little happened. In the first half of the game, there was I think there were no touchdowns, and then in the second half of the game, there suddenly was one, I think. And I don't know. It was a low-scoring game. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be boring, but I don't know. It didn't feel exciting to me at all. And again, this is speaking as someone who doesn't watch football and doesn't care about it, and just watched it as a lark.
I have always every 4 years I kind of tune in and flip around the fucking World Cup, you know. And I've always felt that watching the high-profile teams stand off against the other high-profile teams are the most boring games. Because, intellect becomes such an important part of the play that it doesn't give the chance for heart on the field to show itself. it all becomes about high-minded strategy, where like my favorite World Cup games are the teams that have absolutely no chance, just playing their fucking hearts out, like running until they're goddamn ragged and just like being happy to be there and just fucking just bringing it. But then, yeah, you get those like final games where it's such conservative play, and it's non-reactive, and it's like trying to, I don't know, it's more like chess, which I'm not ragging on chess because chess is interesting to play. But you can't really say that it's a blockbuster spectator sport.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, go
ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, go.
Okay, fine. The other things that are Super Bowl related that people watch for are things I don't care about. The halftime show is a band I don't like, so I didn't watch it.
Right, Shemwen 5.
And the I guess people watch it like, oh, the new commercials are coming out, and that might have been fun a long time ago for me. But now that I know just like how fucking evil
You've been radicalized.
Yeah, now that I've been radicalized, I can't enjoy them the way I once was. And I recognize that pretty much all my entertainment is in some way connected to large corporations, but there's a difference between watching something that, the people involved, may have felt passionately about, and watching something that is explicitly so I will buy another thing. Not that it's not an artistic product that will make me like this, like the product itself is an artistic medium that wants me to buy something else. And there's a kind of disconnect there where it's much harder to appreciate, even if like the director behind the commercial worked real hard on it.
It's inherently cynical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I muted during the commercials. I don't have any like high-minded political reasons. I just wasn't interested. I haven't been in a while.
Yeah.
But as far as the game goes, I think the consensus was that it was boring. You're not alone. Everyone on social media was ragging on it, saying like, "Oh, it sucks and it's so boring." As you said, there wasn't a touchdown until the last quarter. In fact, no one got what's called the red zone, which 20 yards away from scoring. No one even got into the red zone into the last quarter, which is some would say boring. Maybe I'm biased as a person who played defense when I played football. For me, it was a really impressive, like almost a display of what's defensively possible in football. It was like
What
a clinic
position
on
did
being
you
able to
play,
get that
Austin?
side of the game. I can't hear you, Johnny, at all.
What position did you play?
Nose tackle.
So you just like grabbed people by the nose?
Yeah, that's exactly it. No. In football, there's two lines of people, the big guys in the middle, and when the ball's hiked, they slam into each other. I was on the middle of the people who are trying to murder the quarterback.
Did you ever
Nice.
Did you ever kill anybody?
I'm a mass murderer, Johnny. So I understand why it was boring to a lot of people. It wasn't high scoring, but for me, that's not what's interesting about football is the scoring. In fact, a lot of like what people consider exciting games are to me like abysmal failures of half the team to play the sport. Like there were, I'm looking at the list of Super Bowls. Like last year was 41-33. That means the two best teams in the league only were kind of good at the sport of football.
Right.
What?
I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I love Johnny's interrupting style, but his internet's not good recently, so it's just every time he tries to do it, I can't respond to it.
Oh.
So yeah, Leon, I didn't watch the commercials either. We can't really talk about that. Maroon 5, everyone joked about the SpongeBob thing, which was kind of like a bait and switch. But the game itself, for me, was more interesting than other people seem to find it. And a lot of that has to do with the coaching, because as much as I hate Bill Belichick, he did just an incredible job. I don't know I've seen coaching this good since the Indianapolis Colts New Orleans Saints Super Bowl, in which the Saints were not the better team, but they won because their coaching was so fucking good.
What year was that?
Easily could have gone for the Rams.
What year was the Saints Super Bowl?
I think it was a sophomore in college, so it was like 8 years ago or so.
Okay.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me here. But like you said that like that they like they. I'm sorry, I'm googling it. This draws back into what I was trying to say, in that there are depths to every game that aficionados of the sport can appreciate. Yeah.
But don't necessarily make for great spectacle.
Yeah. Which is a problem with game design. So game design is an art, right? We're talking about video games, we're talking about card games, you're talking about sports. You're serving two different goals. You want to entertain an audience, but you also want to have a satisfying game to play. And so you see this in other versions as well, where something will catch on streaming, like a Twitch game like Fortnite. It's incredibly fun to watch, but I don't particularly enjoy playing it, which I guess would be the equivalent of like soccer for some people, right? Like they think it's boring to watch, but it's really fun to play. And then there's other games where it's not fun to watch at all, like I don't know, like a JRPG, but they're really fun to play because you can kind of get invested in that world.
Right.
Football can go either way.
No, totally. But, yeah, you're on point there.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I could get more. I don't think our audience particularly cares about American football. I thought it was fascinating. Even though I didn't really like either teams, I don't have any problem with the Rams. I'm just not invested. And the display of militarism, all the stuff about the kneeling and Roger Goodell. I mean, even the teams that were in the game were controversial because almost everyone agrees that the championship game leading up to the Super Bowl between the Rams and the Saints should have won. There was a blown call, just a flagrant foul. The person who did the foul said, "Oh yeah, I did that on purpose. I thought I was going to get called for it. I got away with it. Cool." Like everyone agrees. So the people were like, "Well, this isn't even a legitimate Super Bowl. It shouldn't have been the Rams." But what are you going to do? It's there are some conspiracy theories about maybe the Super Bowl being the New England sports market and the Los Angeles sports market being a lot more exciting than the alternative, which was Kansas City versus New Orleans.
Austin, are you suggesting that people with large amounts of capital might be manipulating the market in order to increase their own profits?
I would say there's not enough proof to levy such an accusation. I'm just saying it's very convenient that two of the biggest markets are the teams that were represented. That's all I'm saying.
Why?
In broad,
I never.
Okay. In broad strokes, I agree that companies do shitty things like that, but it seems more likely in this case that like a referee screwed up, which is just a thing that happens in sports. All the time.
I highly doubt it was like a quid pro quo, like somebody in a dark alley handed them a suitcase full of cash. It's just awfully convenient the way it all shook out. And, stuff happens. Anyway, I'm not actually accusing anyone of anything. Yeah. Just a thing. That's one of the many storylines swirling around this game.
So, sports are dumb. We all agree.
Congratulations to the Sun Kisser.
They're not dumb. I'm not like, my fascination with books is no more legitimate than anyone's fascination, with sports. So, do what you want, be who you are, eat ass, suck a dick, sell drugs.
All right.
Anything that would make for a much better halftime show.
Just somebody out there eating ass for half an hour.
Yeah, like if Adam Levine came out and says, "Instead of my set, what do you think about this?"
Do you think he's a particularly giving lover? I look at his body.
No.
And I think to myself, this is the guy who probably just coasts, right? Like he's like, well, look at me. Do I really have to work here? You know what this is.
I mean, it may have been. It's possible that introduction would have been like the prelude to someone eating his ass.
Oh.
Who else was performing there?
There was the guy who did Sicko Mode, Travis. I said Travis Touchdown.
Now,
That is
anybody named Travis Touchdown probably eats ass.
Travis Scott is the rapper's name.
Okay, he could eat his ass.
I'm sure he'd be thrilled to hear that.
Well, it's a good thing nobody listens to this podcast.
I hope Travis Scott's agent at least passed that along.
Travis Scott stopped listening when you were talking about how excited you were for your water to get cold. He was like, "No, I'm out."
All right. That was the weird thing I did this week. So I'm done for the moment.
Okay.
If someone would like to jump in.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt. I watched a film that I'm surprised I didn't get around to. I always said, I'll watch that, and then I just never did, and so I finally did. It's called Inside Llewelyn Davis.
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay. Yeah.
What did you guys think about it? My first thought is like, oh, everyone in this movie is really famous.
I didn't have that reaction at all. I guess because this was like years ago before Oscar Isaac was famous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was his
He was
big.
still kind of.
This
famous.
was his big landing.
Yeah, I remember when it was announced. So for the audience, Inside Llewyn Davis is a movie by the Coen brothers. So I was like, oh, I'm automatically sold. They've made most of my favorite movies. But then I saw it was like about a folk singer, and it's played by this actor I've never heard of, Oscar Isaac. And so I just put it off. And now obviously he's like one of the biggest actors working. He's in the Star Wars movies. He's in all the greatest shit that's being made right now. So he's a huge deal. But at the time, I was part of the reason I think I didn't give it a second look. But the cast is stacked. I mean, Justin Timberlake's in it for like 2 scenes. John Goodman, obviously. It's just like it's an incredible like
The
bunch of
brothers,
actors.
the brothers got connections, man.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked the music, and yeah, it was kind of like the story of someone who's a little shitty, but not so shitty that you hope he loses. You know, you can sympathize with someone while also pointing out their flaws if you do it well enough. Some directors can do that, and other directors can't.
I sympathized with him because it was easy to see how damaged he was.
Okay.
Forgive me, it's been years since I've seen it, but understanding what he went through with his old partner and how that completely transformed his understanding of the music industry and the whole concept of doing music or doing art for the sake of art versus doing art because you want to get famous.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic, tortured artist doesn't want to sell out story, except he's a little bit douchier than those protagonists who are, usually pretty good people. He's kind of he's riding the line. There's a version of this movie where they try to make him a likable asshole, and you're supposed to overlook some of the stuff, but I don't think that's really what's happening here. I think it does a really good job of making it a realistic, relatable, oh, I've known people like this. And the good and the bad stuff that he displays is it's not romanticized, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
There's an authenticism
my life.
to it. It's authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are characters where the writer or director will only playfully mock their very deep-seated flaws, and in such a way it becomes like a roast where you're actually kind of praising the character and only gently mocking their serious problems. I appreciate a movie where it's no, it's kind of this thing he did right there. There was a real dick move, and we should not forgive him for this exactly.
What jumps to mind comparatively is how people romanticize 500 Days of Summer.
I was gonna say Fight Club, but yeah, those are movies where the audience could walk away and be like, "Those are cool men."
Yeah,
I enjoyed those cool guys.
Yeah, I'm doing an episode, a very big episode on the James Bond films, and that's coming out in about a month. And the terrible thing about talking about anything problematic, a problematic character in a movie, is that someone will always jump out from the bushes and say, "Well, maybe it's satire." It's no,
right.
it's not quite.
James Bond is entirely famous for its satirical tone.
Yeah, it's not. I'll have a whole thing to say about that. during sort of like a brief aside in that episode. So catch it. But yeah, this is a very different kind of movie. I liked it, as I recall. I remember it ending abruptly, which is a very Coen thing to do, and I'm into that. I don't need my character to ride off into the sunset while the music swells and then the curtain drops and it says Finn. I'm cool if it's just like, oh, my story is over now.
It's like deliberately unsatisfying, like in a way that feels like it's trying to say to the audience, like, what do you want?
You don't always get it. Go away.
Yeah, much in the way that his life up until that point had been unsatisfying. And then at the very end, like, he briefly hears Bob Dylan playing in the background, who's actually going to be successful.
Yeah, and playing playing one of his like banner songs too.
Yeah. So, I dug it.
Also, Adam Driver's in it for like literally 30 seconds, and it's like, oh shit, that guy, was he big back then?
No.
Okay. I don't follow enough of the Hollywood gossip. I'm looking at a list of Coen Brothers movies. I think the only Coen Brothers film I haven't seen now is Hail Caesar. Is that streaming anywhere? You don't actually have to answer that. It's mostly rhetorical.
I think it's on Canadian Netflix. I don't know about America.
Okay, he answered it.
If you had a VPN where you could disguise your IP address.
No, baby, I'm totally unprotected. I'm raw dogging the internet. I don't encrypt anything.
Yeah. Nah, I'm wearing a full body condom right now. So whatever that really is. Yeah. Cool. I'm glad. I guess you liked the movie. I'm glad. If you did, I'm glad you did.
Yeah. There was a couple of moments that were a little uncomfortable for me, especially stuff surrounding animals, because I'm naturally like, I know it's a fucking movie. It's not real. No animals were harmed. But there's a couple times I was like, oh, come on. But that's just me being a fucking weird, sensitive asshole.
Okay.
But yeah. Good.
All right. I watched a movie, and it was extremely bad. But it's the kind of bad that at least it's fun to talk about.
Oh, tell me about Serenity, Leon.
Okay, there's no way to talk about it without doing spoilers. So instead of last week where I was like trying to dance around the stuff about society, because I actually like that movie and I would like people to see
Which
it.
I watched.
I'm just going to spoil Serenity because it's very bad and you shouldn't have to see it.
I haven't seen Serenity, but I only know one sentence about it. Can I say the sentence to you?
God.
So it turns out it's all a video game?
Yep.
That's the only thing. I literally don't even know the non-twist premise of this film.
Right. I didn't know the spoiler going in. I just knew that there was a big twist. So I was just kind of prepared for like the goofiest thing. So like I wish I had gone into the movie not knowing there was a twist.
Now, just as a quick aside here before you start, Leon, have you seen Existence by David Cronenberg?
No.
Okay.
It's very good. The tooth gun from Existence shows up in the latest season of Dice Funk, by the way.
Okay. Sweet.
What I'm saying is like I wouldn't say the twist in this movie comes out of nowhere because there are like mild hints at it, but these mild hints could easily have just been anything else and have not led to the twist. So this is what's going on in the movie. There's this guy, Matthew McConaughey. I don't remember his name. I'm not going to pretend I do. Matthew McConaughey is in the movie, and he plays a fisherman, and he's really into trying to catch this very, very big tuna. And he has this kind of like...
Wait, like a fish?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. He's a fisherman. He wants to catch a big tuna. He goes out there every day, and he doesn't do it very well, and he is unable to do so. And he's kind of poor. He has to like pimp himself out to some lady to get gas money for his boat and shit like that. And that's kind of his life. So I guess 2/3 of the way through the movie, a man approaches him and says he wants to give him like a device to help him catch this fish. And Matthew McConaughey is considering killing this guy on the boat because his former lover and mother of his child, who the guy is raising, isn't like an asshole. He wants to kill some asshole on the boat, and the guy who's selling him this tuna detection device or whatever for his boat.
Are you trying to tell me?
Does not.
Are you trying to tell me that this movie has microtransactions?
No, it's not. He gives it to him for free. There's literally no overt video game stuff. It's clearly made by someone who does not play video games.
I was hoping that would be a funnier joke.
I'm sorry, it's not.
That was fucking savage.
I'm sorry.
Holy shit!
The joke was fine, but I can't give you the punchline.
No,
the movie
it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry.
I'm sorry.
No sweat.
You.
I haven't seen the movie. I was just like,
No, you're
you
fine.
know what I was doing right there? Is I was casting a line into the ocean, hoping to come
were
back.
you? Okay. So anyway, I can't even remember the exact moment we learned this, but like he learns that he's in a video game. He learns he's in a video game, but this doesn't like destroy his world. He's not like, wait a minute, I am pixels. No, it's nothing like that. Nothing changes. He doesn't like start seeing himself as like whatever video games are made of. I don't remember anymore. Polygons. I think that's not a thing anymore. So he just goes about his life, trying to catch this fish, but actually he's based on the person who made the game is like a child, and he is based on the child's father who died in a war or something. There's a lot of like, it's a very like twisty kind of movie where none of the twists feel earned. And it doesn't work at all. It's jarring, is what I'm trying to say. It's also, here's the thing, even without that twist, like let's take all the goofy stuff out of that for a second, like the goofiness of this twist, and it's just a story about this guy and his estranged lover and the son he never knew and being raised by an asshole, and he also likes to fish. Even then, it's still very, very bad because the dialogue is all terrible and contrived. I don't know if Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway just decided not to act that week, but they're not playing off each other very well. There's a lot of like the story never feels grounded in such a way that you feel engaged by anything that's happening. That we could have skipped from thing to thing very, very quickly. The movie tries to be like philosophical. People keep saying all the time, like, we know nothing. And I guess that's the point of the movie, that we don't really know anything. And like, you know, maybe this reality is not real. And it's like, okay, fine. But you could have done this in a less ridiculous way. Also, there's like a really
better movies that have done that. The 13th Floor and Existence.
Okay. There's this really like hard fucking Matthew McConaughey Anne Hathaway scene.
Wait, a hard fucking scene between?
Yeah.
Okay.
They fuck hard in this movie. I'm sorry. I'm not used to seeing sex scenes.
Oh, okay. I was making a joke about what I thought you misspoke.
No. I'm saying they are fucking and they are doing.
Oh, okay. That's just literal then. That's not a joke.
No. I was being sincere, and I guess you are surprised too. Yes, there's a big sex scene in this movie in an era where that isn't really a thing anymore. I'm not saying I hate the fact that there are sex scenes or anything. I'm saying that this was awkward. He's got like his pants not even completely down. They're like, he's like half of his ass is exposed. So I guess he's like, this is enough effort to have sex with Anne Hathaway today. I don't know. I just found it very awkward to watch. It was weird. He does it the night before he's gonna kill her husband, the bad guy who's like raising his son. Yeah, it's just a really, really shitty movie. I hated it. At the end, I think the bad father dies, and Matthew McConaughey talks on the phone through the video game to his not really son or something. The son, by the way, has in real life, not in the video game, has used this opportunity as like to make a decision to kill his actual father, like his actual foster father, who the video game foster father is based on or something. Not foster father, stepfather is based on. And he stabs him to death with a knife, and then he goes to jail forever or something. And he uses one phone call to call Matthew McConaughey in the video game or something. I can't. It's not right. The whole movie is not right. I'm laughing about it now, but during my experience with it, I wasn't like, this is like The Room. It's so bad that it's funny. I was like, no, it's actually like really unpleasant and tedious to watch.
I admit there's some fascination from me in the respects of like something could have been made from this. Johnny joked about like, oh, was there microtransactions? Like this whole thing sounds like it could have been the setup to an almost M. Night Shyamalan's The Village kind of like half and half movie where the first half is like all these setups and the second half's the payoffs. And obviously that movie didn't really work, but you could make it work. And it was just like, oh, here's commenting on all the people in the village only have like 2 dialogue lines, and someone keeps trying to sell him a fishing rod upgrade or whatever. Like part of me was like, oh yeah, I like that. That sounds cool. And then,
Austin?
Yeah. It's here's the thing. The video game that we're watching is indistinguishable from real life. There's no like the sky breaks for a second because it's like the barrier. There's no like someone accidentally glitches.
Yeah, someone's T-posing in the background. That'd be so good.
There's nothing like that. It just looks like the real world. It is an impossibly complex world of sentient artificial beings, and it's taking place not like in the distant future. This takes place like roughly now. So it there's also that other kind of uncanny aspect to it where it's like you can't do that. Like this doesn't.
Hello, welcome to Awesome Games Done Quick. We're going to do the Serenity speed run. You see, if you get Matthew McConaughey caught in this geometry right here, you can skip to level 3, but you've got to walk backwards while saying, all right.
All right. So that is Serenity. It sure is bad. The poster to it like does not give away anything that like it doesn't even like hint upon what the movie is actually about, which is I guess what you want from a movie with a big twist. But at the same time, like you look at this poster and it's like, oh, there's 2 people on a boat. I don't know anything. I can't tell anything about this movie from. I guess that's the point. They want you to go in blind and be like shocked by the twist, but it's not. It doesn't feel earned or interesting. They don't do anything with it. They're trying to use it as like the framework to make a philosophical statement, and like for me, like that would be really cool. Except it I don't know. It doesn't. It never really gels.
The philosophical statement is kill your stepdad.
Yeah, he might be bad.
He might.
So that's it, I guess. Yeah.
I too watched a movie this week.
Tell me about it.
It's called Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it yet, but tell me about it without spoiling it.
This is the thing: is that Velvet Buzzsaw is actually Velvet Buzzsaw is Dan Gilroy's new movie. Most famously known for being the screenwriter of Free Jack. Oh yeah, he also wrote and directed Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, the guy wrote Free Jack.
Okay, never seen it, but I get the joke.
No, we talked about Free Jack.
Okay, it's possible, but like I'm sorry.
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
No one's giving Johnny anything this week.
Emilio Estevez.
I'm sorry.
Where like Emilio Estevez plays a fucking like a race car driver who gets transported to the future right when he's supposed to die, and then Mick Jagger is like the enforcer of Anthony Hopkins' fucking corporation because they want to download Anthony Hopkins into Emilio Estevez's brain. It is a beautiful nightmare.
Okay.
He also wrote The Fall, which is one of my favorite movies, actually.
That's a really good movie. I'm looking at his shit now. He also wrote Kong Skull Island. This dude rules.
All right, so Velvet. This is the thing: is that it is impossible to spoil Velvet Buzzsaw because it is exactly the movie you expect it to be.
I haven't learned. I don't know anything about it, so that is hard for me because I've like purposefully not even read like the premise.
But here is the thing: it is still beautiful.
Good.
It is brilliant. It is super well acted. It is phenomenally photographed. Like if you have any interest in the art world in particular, it's hilarious.
Okay.
Wait,
Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm sorry.
I was saying, wait, hilarious? It's a comedy? It sounds like a horror movie.
It is a horror movie, but at the same time, like it's an indictment. Like it is unabashed in its criticism of the way people treat art, the way we observe art, particularly like fine art.
Okay, I'm on the Wikipedia now. It says satirical supernatural horror. That's all I want to know. I'm already sold. I love Kong Island Nightcrawler Man.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed this movie. A lot of people are saying it wasn't what they expected and are therefore being like, oh, I didn't like it very much. But it was exactly what I wanted.
Johnny, that's a great impression of someone who's wrong.
Thank you.
That is literally the sound I make, the voice I make when I do that too. So I appreciate that.
Do you just fucking both barrels this week? You're just absolutely shredding him.
No, I'm being kind of sincere. That is kind of the voice I make whenever I want to, frankly, devalue someone's opinion. It's not cool to do, but it's like 100% accurate.
I'm not picking on anyone in particular. Like
it's fine.
You like fine. Again, you like what you like. That doesn't make you less of a person, but some opinions are wrong.
That's fair, I guess. So Johnny, I only have one question. Yeah. It's not. You can't actually spoil anything in the movie by answering this, so it's fine for me to ask. On a scale of like, I don't know, Moonlight Mile to Okja, how Jake Gyllenhaal is Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie?
He is super Jake Gyllenhaal.
So just like wild out there.
He plays a super pretentious art critic.
I've seen gifs from this movie.
Whose character name I just like Leon. His character name is Morph Van de Walt.
Excellent. I love my favorite review. Not even a review or positive criticism of someone's acting performance ever is Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in Okja. Someone said, "This is the most acting."
This is like he gets his teeth into this so much there's blood.
I love it. Jake Gyllenhaal sometimes can have that like Nicolas Cage thing where like you're not sure if the performance is like really, really bad or really good, but you like can't look away.
I'm into it. That's exciting.
Yeah, he's excellent. Don't get me wrong. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I think honestly, when I was younger, I was like really into him as an actor. I'm usually not into like individual actors, but I've seen almost everything he's been in except like Bubble Boy. So I think that's a lot of Donnie Darko rubbing off there.
I I still to this day think that he would have been a way better choice for Indiana Jones's son in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I'm kind of glad he wasn't, though, because that was not a great movie.
Yeah,
No.
he's better than whatever they would come up with.
No, I'm just saying he would have been a way better choice.
Sure.
I mean, in general, I would say he's a better actor. So yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, check it out. Watch it. Enjoy it. Oh God, I can't wait to talk about this with you guys.
Yep.
All right. I'm probably going to watch it within the next few days. So I may have some thoughts next week.
Next few hours for me. I'm locked and loaded.
Okay. All right. All right. We're almost at questions, but do you, either of you have something like short to talk about before we do though?
Of course, homie. You know I got you. I played a video game called Wolfenstein the Old Blood.
Oh.
Okay.
This was a standalone expansion for the Wolfenstein reboot by Machine Games, if you'll recall.
Sort of like a mini sequel.
It's a prequel, actually. It ends exactly where the old... was it the New Order?
The New Order begins, yeah.
Yeah. So, if you'll recall, the reboot kind of timeline is, like, I guess tangentially connected to the old one. I'm not super invested in the Wolfenstein's particular version of alternate World War II, so I'm not like, oh, this character is a reference to this, and here's the same building from, like, I don't care really. Especially
well, Austin, after I explain the Zelda lore to you in the next couple of minutes, we'll move on to Wolfenstein, so...
Okay. So the Wolfenstein New Order reboot was really good. I actually thought the story was surprising in a lot of ways. It actually made characters I cared about, and I was, like along for the ride and everything. I haven't played the new Colossus, which I hear is way too difficult for its own good. But I'm still interested in it. And then there's a new one coming out. I think it might not be a full game. It's the one that's like stars BJ's like daughters or something. I don't know. You guys can look that up. Anyway, I played The Old Blood, which is a prequel. It's kind of a... I think my understanding is that it's kind of a throwback to the older ones and being more explicitly supernatural throughout its run.
Now,
I don't know.
When you say older ones, you're talking about like the Raven Software ones?
The ones which are about like zombies and demons and stuff, and less about soldiers.
Yeah, that's Raven Software right there.
Yeah, and so that stuff happens. I don't even know if that's a spoiler. I think it's on, like, the product description. It's like, the Fuhrer is working on dark experiments, and only BJ can stop him. But actually, I feel like that is the second half of The Old Blood. The first half is just kind of a bunch of stealth sections.
Which the New Order wrapped in pretty well.
Yeah, I was always surprised by how much that game emphasized stealth and how well it worked. I'm trying to remember who said this. So somebody's quote was like, a stealth game is only as good as the combat that breaks out when you fail. And it's like a lot of stealth games are like fun when you're in stealth and you fuck up, and then you either immediately get shredded or you have to suffer through pretty bad combat. And Wolfenstein never had that problem because the stealth is good and then the combat's good. And the only reason you ever do the stealth is to kill the commanders who can summon more minions during the actual fighting. So it all feels like a really natural loop.
I do disagree with that statement.
Okay, tell me.
Because I have to say that if you think of stealth games as being like puzzle games, then that brings on a different thing, where it's like, hey, you fucked up the puzzle. There's a way through this. You just have to figure it out.
Yeah, and some games are like that. The one that comes to mind is Mark of the Ninja, where you really can't fight. Like, I think there are literally some enemies you just can't fight. Like, you'll just die.
Splinter Cell is what I'm thinking of. Classic Splinter Cell.
And so, like, yeah, every combat is kind of just a puzzle it's a bullet puzzle or like a strangle puzzle.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But I totally agree with the statement when you're talking about just adding stealth into a game.
Yeah, like a stealth action game. Deus Ex is the one that I'm thinking of specifically, where it's like the better the combat, the better the stealth. Like there's like two things flow into each other in the better Deus Ex games, and like the ones where one of those things is weaker, it brings the whole game down significantly. Like totally. I actually don't hate Invisible War as much as most people, but that's because I realized that like
neither do I, and I wrote a whole article about it.
Yeah, so anyway, well, just to get back to the Wolfenstein thing, I'm continually surprised by how much I like the stealth of this game. It's not particularly complicated. You're kind of sneaking through these very enclosed environments, and there's like 2 paths or whatever, and like all you gotta do is take out the dogs first, and then you get the machines, turn off the robot, whatever. It's fine, but it's actually a really like satisfying 5-hour game. And I continue to enjoy this reboot universe. I think this is a rare game. Leon, you were chuckling. You have thoughts?
Oh no, I have not played it. I just recognize the name. I'm like, oh, are you gonna kill Nazis?
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if you had played any
you
of
do.
Them. Nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah. I mean, Johnny, Wolfenstein thoughts?
The reboot universe is fantastic. I, like you, have not played the new Colossus yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of fun with the New Order. They're fucking Machine Gun Games, I think, is the developer.
Machine Games.
Machine Games. They're killing it. They're doing well. And I like what they're doing. I also really like that they're not ashamed of being like, oh, hey, Nazis, guess what? Fuck them.
Yeah, they're very much. Some people even accuse them of kind of playing up that to score points in this current political atmosphere. People are like being, it's so fashionable to kill Nazis. We get it, like as if it wasn't still a relevant thing. But the game I was talking about earlier is called Wolfenstein Youngblood. That's coming out this year, and it stars twin sisters Jessica and Sophia Blaskowitz, who are his daughters of the main character from the other games. So,
I had a lot of fun with the New Order. So,
me too. Part of why I didn't get around to playing New Colossus is because everyone said you start with half health because of story reasons, and you basically die in one shot. It's really difficult. I think they might have patched it to make it more bearable. The thing is, it was kind of part of that not Aliens, Warhammer Space Marines set of games where it was every game's having you hide and cover, and let's go back to the old style where you just kind of run around and shoot stuff, but the enemies are really good at shooting.
Yeah.
So you're getting shot anytime you're out in the open like a cover shooter, but there isn't cover. It's a surprisingly difficult game, which is why the stealth is important, and the stealth is good.
I've been playing Mafia 2 again.
Really? I played Mafia 3 and I talked about it on this show, I believe.
Yeah. But I have a soft spot in my heart for Mafia 2 because I really like that they were comfortable placing a linear story in such a vibrant world, where you get different years and seasons and styles and cars and things like that. But at the same time, it's still just hey, go to Joe's. He's got a job for you.
Yeah, it's hard to Google, new Colossus patch, but as far as I can tell, I think there was a patch that fixed the difficulty, so I do look forward to jumping into that. Anyway, kill Nazis, they're bad, and you guys ready for questions?
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Fuck fascists.
First question, Molly McDade, at author of Nebulae, AE at the end, on Twitter, asks, so, Liam Neeson, huh?
Ooh.
Why don't you just keep that to yourself, Liam?
I think we should tell the audience what he said was in an interview. He said a friend of his was raped by a black man, so he set out to lynch a completely the first black person he saw. And he did not do it, but he set out to. He walked the streets looking for a black person to lynch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Austin.
I was going to say, he's Irish, is my understanding. So I don't know how much of this is lost on him. I don't want to make presumptions, but the United States has a very specific history with what he's talking about. This isn't just some kind of wild idea he got in his head. The idea of using white womanhood as an excuse to murder random black men is something as old as the United States. It's such a very specific trope that there are laws dedicated to them. They're called anti-lynching laws or for the longest time, they were just like lynching laws, as in, yes, lynching is good in many places because that's who controlled laws. Like, it's something you study in law school. It's just like how things were done for a long time. Whether or not any white women were victimized at all was often an excuse. Just white men getting mad about the idea of women being victimized and like, let's go into communities of color and murder people. It's such a very specific thing. It's not like, well, what are your inspirations for this movie? One time I got pissed. Like, that's not, it's not even, it's so very tied to a thing which we cannot countenance for a moment as acceptable. And even, it's not, like Johnny, you said, it's not your place to forgive or to allow for any of that. Obviously, we can't know his heart. It's not even up to us, but it's yeah. It made me think of like growing up when me and my friends group, this is like middle school, maybe even elementary school, when you didn't like something, you'd say like, that's gay. Like, that movie's gay. Like, your mom's gay. It didn't mean anything. We didn't know what gay was. We didn't know what like straight sex really was, but it's just a thing we said. But it's not morally equivalent to murder, to lynching. Right. It's like, it's so far beyond that it's like, if you're trying to make the boys will be boys excuse, I'm pretty sure he was also an adult at the time of this event.
I also want to mention one thing that you talked about just now, Austin, where you say, well, he's Irish. He may not know. Liam Neeson, yes, was not born in America, but he's certainly spent a lot of time in it. I mean, he's a Hollywood actor. He spends a great deal of his time either in America or working with American studios. He's not like a foreigner who is like barely been exposed to American culture, like in an isolated society out there somewhere. He's not from Brigadoon.
Yeah, I'm aware that he is familiar with American culture. I just don't know how, like, if he thought that was like how unique he thought that revenge fantasy was, because it's something so ingrained in American history. It's something like black people had to structure their lives around. Like, you can't be alone in certain white neighborhoods. You're going to get murdered. And I just don't know if that's he realized that.
Like that's the strange thing about this particular story. I'm glad he's not out there murdering people anymore. Don't get me wrong, but we were only like someone turning the corner at a different time from Liam Neeson being a completely different person for the rest of his life. And that's kind of what sticks with me with this. It's not, you could say, yes, he's certainly, I'm sure he's changed quite a bit from since then, and why wouldn't he have? But also, he's probably like seconds away from someone looking the other way from him being a completely different person.
How many perfectly nice husbands and fathers and just pillars of the white community are out there that only narrowly avoided a hate crime in their youth, which would have had a body count? We talked about this before, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but if you haven't heard me talk about the Rosewood Massacre as a town in Florida, which an entire town was destroyed because of one of these incidents. Literally, someone said, oh, those black people are a threat to white women, and they just raised in a town and killed everyone who didn't escape. Google Rosewood Massacre if you're interested. I think we've made our points. Do you guys want to move on to a nicer question?
Let's go.
Definitely. I don't know how much of that's staying in anyway. So
I think I made some good points. I'm funny and I'm good at talking. Next question. Yeah. Cyretha at Ellis Blackwood asks, been playing Kingdom Hearts 3 yet? Yes, I have. I played up through, I beat Tangled, I beat Toy Story, I beat Hercules World, and I'm in Monsters Inc. now, I think. I won't talk about the story because everyone's beaten that horse to death. Ha ha ha, it's really complicated. Yeah, we get it. I'm struck by that the gameplay hasn't evolved since the PS2 era. It feels like a PS2 game, which is partially refreshing because I remember when games were just like this. Like they're just kind of mashing X to kill things until a cutscene starts and then you go back to mashing. It's almost refreshing, but it's also archaic in a lot of ways. It feels like it has a lot of kind of rusty old parts to it from other eras. Like you don't see this kind of game design anymore. I'm thinking of like the biggest AAA marquee titles, your Gods of War, your Last of Us, transitioning seamlessly from gameplay to cinematic with the highest quality voice acting and animation. And this game just kind of looks old. It's still pretty. It's not even an art direction thing. It just looks old, which is weird. It seems okay so far as far as Kingdom Hearts games goes, right? Like some of them are better than others, but none of them are so bad that they're like...
You know for a fact, Austin, that you're not going to get a satisfying conclusion to Kingdom Hearts.
I don't even care about that at this point. Like, I'm not... Like, the great thing about the story of Kingdom Hearts, and I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I guess I am, is that it doesn't matter if I understand it. Sora understands enough. He'll figure it out for me, because I have no meaningful input on what happens. I'm just piloting him from cutscene to cutscene. He's experiencing the story, and I'm watching him experience the story. It's not about me. I have no place in this world. I have no meaningful input. It's fine. I've made peace with that.
Okay.
There's actually a part where a villain says some cryptic shit, and Sora says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And the villain says, "That's fine. You never will." And I was like, okay, that had to have been intentional. But yeah, I think it's, some of the worlds are better than others. I was really disappointed at first because Hercules Entangled literally just walked through the plots of the film with Sora, like, in the background. It was pretty bad, to be honest, but Toy Story was great. Like, it was a completely original plot. There was like the Japanese toys, basically like mech toys based on an anime that like Rex from Toy Story was like a fan of, and like they go on this adventure in a Toy Story completely unrelated to the film. And I was like, oh shit, this rules. And now I'm doing Monsters. What is it? Monsters Inc. Yeah, Monsters Inc. And it's just like, this is after the events of the film, so they're not using Scream energy anymore, and they're trying to take Boo back to our world. It's like completely original. So the original stuff works for me. Retreading the films does not. I've seen the films, so that's kind of bad. And the combat's very like hit X until a triangle prompt appears, then hit triangle, which is... It's not great, but I don't know that I don't want Dark Souls from. I don't want to have to think about the combat. So honestly, it's fine. So far, we'll see. There's usually like one or two fights that are very hard. Everyone remembers Sephiroth from the first one, where it's like, oh, this is suddenly a whole different kind of difficult. I'm sure I'll get there eventually and have to learn how it works. Let's look for another question while I think about Kingdom Hearts. The voice acting is really weird, by the way. Tom Hanks's brother plays Woody, and he's fine.
His brother?
Yeah, Jim Hanks.
I didn't know that Jim Hanks did acting work.
Yeah. Also, James Woods is back as Hades. Unfortunately, I was hoping he would not be, but he is. He sucks. What a bad man. Just a bad man.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. Kreliamite, at Kreliamite on Twitter, asks, have any of you ever been to a film festival?
Yes.
Tell us about it. I've never been. It seems like something you guys would do.
I participated in a film festival twice, actually.
You festivaled?
There's a annual film festival in Vancouver called the 78-Hour Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Where teams enter, and you get a list of requirements. So, like, prop, a line of dialogue, a theme. They'll feed you different things each year. And then you have 78 hours to make a 5-minute film. So, yeah, there were 2 5-minute films on YouTube where I'm involved in a werewolf movie and a zombie movie as an actor. And, like, for 78 hours, it's just like film, edit, score. This is it. One of my films was actually judged by Dan O'Bannon, who wrote Alien. Like, the Alien, the Ridley Scott Alien, and it got a great.
I am familiar with this.
And did
it got a
John
really
say to you, "Wow, this is better than Alien, the film I wrote."
No, but it did get a really great reaction from the crowd because I threw up for real on camera.
Oh, damn, I didn't know it was a sexy movie.
Oh, yeah, like all over my Sailor Moon body pillow.
I can't tell if you're joking.
All right.
But, like, I have actually been to other film festivals. The Vancouver International Film Festival happens every year, and I go there quite regularly when it comes. That was the first place I saw Leon Upstream Color.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I should have given a bigger reaction to that. I have also seen that movie.
I liked it.
And I liked it.
I think we were waiting for you to say if you've been to a film festival or not.
No, I haven't.
You're the film guy.
Yeah, but I don't like social situations.
I've
So,
never
like,
been
the
to a
very-
game
the very-
jam. Why am I being an asshole
the very-
about this?
Yeah, the very idea that I would like go and I don't know, like be in a crowd for days is not for me. The only time I will do that is if there are roller coasters.
Would you go to a roller coaster festival?
I mean, that's literally what a theme park is. So
Close
yes, I will definitely do that.
All right.
But no, I go to the movies and that's it for me. Then I want to go home and drink water. It's the thing I like.
Oh, it's getting cold now.
Oh, it's so cold. I got like
You icy
here's a really-
motherfucker.
What?
I said, you icy motherfucker.
Okay.
yeah.
Here's a really juicy question. I always like look for ones that are like this. Skirt Vonnegut at Ilmari Walker on Twitter. That's skirt with,
Hi, Ilmari.
with 3 R's. What are the ethics of hooking up with roommates? I love the juicy relationship ones because we give the worst advice.
Okay, so okay, I think the question is if you are at first platonic roommates with someone, and then you decide that you should also have sex. How do you navigate that without hurt feelings and whatnot? I would just say avoid.
Bone City.
Okay. I would say that is something to be avoided. It
depends on the quality of your exit plan. If it's no big deal to move, sure. If it would be life-shatteringly awful to find a new situation, it's not worth the risk. You gotta make a chart, right? You get a spreadsheet, and we really gotta figure out your finances before you commit to this.
So crab, so good.
There are so many people out there who are not currently living with you who will date you or sleep with you.
Yeah.
It seems like a nightmare to me. Like if I were, I like the very idea. Like if I were living with like a friend, and we were just friends for a long time, and then we decided to start like being in a relationship while also committed to a lease together, and we didn't know if this was going to work. Like, it's different when you're with someone for years and then you decide to move in together. It is an entirely different situation where you know how your relationship works with someone as friends, and then you decide to make it well, I shouldn't say completely different, but noticeably different. And then it just falls, and then it just, you learn that it fails within a week, and then it's hard to go back.
Or a week
Things
or
are
a year,
awkward.
it doesn't even matter. The point is, can you get out of the lease?
Right. It's
Hi.
awkward.
Welcome to Ribfest, brought to you
Yeah.
by Montana's.
All right. I don't want anyone to see me naked. So like,
That's become about
Like-
something else.
yeah. So like the whole like I'm, you can't like switch back and forth between like we're fucking and now we're just roommates, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get some cereal. Is that person looking at my ass right now? I'd be very.
I'm
The
sorry, I
answer
had
should
barely a second
always
to picture
be
it.
yes, Leon.
I would be very self conscious about the whole.
I'm
thing.
trying to do
Yeah, it
laundry.
seems-
Please get out of my ass.
I would look, I don't want to like stamp on someone's dreams. Like if you're like in love with your roommate, that might be a conversation you might want to have with that person. But like the idea of like, I bet we could fuck it, it'd be no big deal. It usually is.
I mean, the way it was framed, what are the ethics? I think we glossed over that, but I do think there's a version of like, hey, you're living with me and I have some measure of power over whether you have a roof over your head or not, is potentially icky. And if you're concerned, I say this a lot, like people say like, can I hit on someone in this situation? Should I date this person? My thing is, if you're not sure, maybe don't, because something inside your heart is telling you maybe you're being icky. So
yeah, I have to agree with you there. If there's a power differential, no dice.
Yes, but it should be noted that usually, I shouldn't say always, but usually when you're roommates with someone, it's an even split. I've never had a roommate. I've either lived alone or with my ex-wife, and those have been my two living situations. But like it would be different if, yes, you own the house and you're letting someone stay for a small fee. Yes, that is definitely a power difference, and therefore there are ethical concerns. But if you're roommates in the traditional sense, where like one of you covers half the rent and the other of you covers the other half of the rent,
then bless the rains down in Africa.
I actually just remembered I had the inverse situation where I was sleeping with someone casually and they were like, oh, I might need a roommate for my living situation. They're like, do you want to just move in? And like, not like, do you want to take this to the next level? But like, we're fucking anyway. Do you want to be my roommate? And I was like, nah, because if this gets weird and eventually it didn't. We're still like on good terms. We just stopped sleeping together. It was like, then we also have to be roommates, and that's not what I'm in this for. So I feel like I did the correct thing. I look back on that and I say, good decision, Austin. You didn't cross those streams. So
you're a good boy, Austin.
All right.
I'm just saying, it occurs to me now that our earlier glib dismissal may have not been wise.
Okay, that's fair, but I'm not talking about like I own the mansion and you may stay in my basement.
Oh, she owned the mansion.
Like, There certainly are situations. I was referring to roommate situations as in we are equals and we will, as adults, make a decision that might be bad.
God bless the rains down in Africa.
Johnny, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's okay.
We love Johnny.
I literally don't. I do. I love you so much. I just don't. I don't get what's happening, but that's okay. That's okay. I am sometimes inscrutable myself. I can't even help it. Here's a dumb thing about me that I realized. I had to take a picture of myself recently.
It looks good.
Thanks. It's gotten some good buzz.
When's the embargo up?
Yeah. I had to take a picture of myself recently because I've been invited to be a guest at Con Bravo this summer. I always go, but this summer I'm apparently one of the first guests announced because they really wanted me, I guess. Either that or they just knew I'd say yes and they tried to grab me soon. But the guy who invited me says, hey, we don't have your picture from last year. You need to send us like a profile pic. I'm like, oh, shit. I don't have any recent pictures of myself except wrapped up in a scarf. But I got better at taking pictures of myself. I got like an app to basically get some of the bad stuff off my face and make myself look better. I have a tapestry in my home that I could stand in front of and then change the colors of with my new software skills that I've been teaching myself over the years. I look okay in terms of like the composition of the shot.
You look great, Leon.
I'm looking at it now. You have a powerful energy of the guy in a disaster movie who tells everyone that something bad's going to happen and they don't listen to him.
Yeah. Here's the thing
I said, you look great, Leon.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But here's the weird thing about this picture. You might not notice it, but I'm smiling.
No, you're not.
But I know. But here's the thing. Like, if you look at the picture, you will see that my lips are definitely curved in the position of a smile.
Geometrically, it may be true, but emotionally, it's not.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But my eyes are so intense that that is completely removed. Like if you put your hand over the top half of my face.
Leon,
What?
you
What?
have
What,
to
Johnny?
smile with your whole face.
Yeah, that's not a thing for me. That's what I'm trying to say. If you just put your hand over like the top of the avatar and just see from my nose down, it looks like I'm in a pretty good mood. But then you see the rest of my face, and it does not match. It looks like I'm plotting something, and that's the weird thing about it. I was not trying to do that. I just have resting creep face. I can't, there's nothing I can do about it. That's just what my eyes do. I can't smile unnaturally for the same reason I can't act. You know, the same reason that my narration will never sound emotional. It's just not something I can do unless I'm not trying to do it.
We're almost out of time. I'm going to ask a couple more questions here real quick. Local sad boy at
Thank you.
Cody L. Ralston asks, I think it's supposed to say, since Austin's been displaying his love for ferrets recently, how do we feel about rats? And there's a picture of a very cute rat. What do you guys think about rats?
I'm sure they're very cute. I don't want one in my home.
They are very important for medical testing.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't have strong feelings about rats until a friend of the show, Lauren Morgan.
Hi, Lauren.
She had 2 pet rats, and they're extremely cute and affectionate. And I did not know they made particularly good pets, but she introduced me to the fact that they are not only very cute, but good pets.
They're very social animals.
Yeah. I still prefer ferrets because they are mischief incarnate, and I love them very much. But rats are good as hell, underrated.
I'm actually dead serious though about medical testing because they bear a lot of similar genes to humans. Surprise, surprise!
That is my understanding as well. Allison the Purple at Ancello1 asks, Austin, do you record all the NPCs in Dice Funk just using your voice, or do you use a voice-altering app for some? Especially curious about the Neogi voices this season. Actually, the Neogi is all mine. I've used voice-altering for robotic NPCs, so I put a little stank on that ball. But the Neogi is 100% me, and the fact that was in question is very flattering. Thank you. Let's see here. We didn't get any wrestling questions this week. Was there no wrestling, Leon?
There's always wrestling. There's always too much wrestling.
Wasn't there
I haven't really been watching
WrestleMania recently?
That was WrestleMania was last year in April, so no.
Did
okay.
Becky punch Triple H?
I'm sorry?
I said, didn't Becky punch Triple H?
Yeah, but that wasn't WrestleMania. That was or maybe I heard you wrong. I'm sorry. The audio is sometimes weird. But yeah, that was a thing that happened like this week. I didn't watch it, like I said. I just saw a GIF of it because that's what my timeline is like. I'm just not really watching wrestling right now. I might try again a while from now.
And I guess one to go out on, Matthew B. Hare at Matthew B. Hare on Twitter asks, thinking about the McElroys and this show too, what are your thoughts on parasocial relationships? I know there was a viral video about this subject recently. Do any of you have experience or thoughts on that particular phenomenon?
Yeah, I'm doing an episode on it next month.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I mean framed around the movie Frank. But yeah, that's the topic.
I like that
going
movie.
into.
Oh, is that the Big Head movie?
It is the big.
I really liked that.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. It's very it has that very like overt indie quirk thing going for it, but it is also pretty good.
I love your wall.
We should probably define our terms. Parasocial relationship is like the feeling between audience and creators that in the internet age has become a kind of surrogate closeness that's not really there. Would you say that's a fair description?
That's accurate. Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. How I feel about it is complicated. That is kind of how I feel. It's the thing is, I don't know how much I'm going to leave him. this is hard to talk about without catching myself without saying anything shitty. They're okay. So I think like a year or two ago, someone this happens all the time. This was just like overt in such a way that it's like memorable. Someone in my comment section said something. I can't even remember what it was. It was like inappropriate, and I said, "That's not really like the way you can talk to like a total stranger on the internet." That's kind of the way I phrase things when people like kind of get weird or say something like shitty to like someone they don't know on the internet. I'm like, I always think like, we're total strangers. Like, do you think that's like an okay way to talk? And the person's response was, well, I don't really think of you as a stranger. I've been watching your shows for a while and I listened to Wordfunk, so I don't really think of you as a stranger. And I don't remember exactly what I said in response, but it was probably, you're wrong. That's the thing. I become friends with people through the show, but they're usually colleagues, because otherwise as we talked about before, there's a kind of power differential that makes me feel weird. I don't want, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about. It's hard to describe. And it's also hard to talk about without it sounding like insulting to my audience, who I really appreciate.
Yeah, I'm not as popular as you, Leon, but it does feel weird to be like, well, as a popular, famous person who everyone wants to be friends with.
Austin, do you really want to talk about who's the least popular person here?
Damn, you're just gonna put me on blast like that, Johnny? We get it. Everyone thinks you're hot and everyone likes Leon's videos. Hurts my feelings, bruh.
Dude.
No.
Nobody likes me.
Fuck off.
They only
me.
like me for my body.
Half the things people say to me is about Johnny.
Yeah. Everyone loves Johnny. I think Johnny's might more be referring to the fact that, like, of the three of us, he's the only one who doesn't host a show on a regular basis.
He's the only one who hasn't hooked his livelihood into an insane carousel of death.
Right. Yeah. Johnny works at a laser factory, for those who have like only recently started listening to this.
No,
I'm surprised we didn't talk about
not
it
a
this week.
laser factory, Leon.
I know it's not actually. It's just part of your
the
lore.
joke. The guy who runs Patreon recently said that they're going to have to make big changes to stay sustainable, despite the fact they've made $55 million, I believe, is their profit off of nothing.
What a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, Jack. I have two things to say about Jack Conte. One is that he said something along the line. Well, actually, I have three things to say about Jack Conte. One thing is that he said something along the lines of, "We've been very generous we've been very generous with our 90% payouts." And my response to that is, no, we've been very generous, giving you 10% of our money while we actually create all the content. You don't create any content. You have Patreon is a service fee. PayPal is only about 3% or something like that.
It's 5 to them and 5 for fees. Although 5 for them is, if it's not enough, that's because they took massive VC funding that they didn't need, and also they have offices in San Francisco, the most expensive city on earth, basically. Like,
yeah. To what I say to that Patreon is, that's not my fault. Yeah. We're out of time. What anybody have anything to say before we go?
Yeah, I was saying,
eat ass, smoke drugs. Wait, that's wrong.
I can't follow that. Fuck it.
Nah. Yeah. Eat ass, sell drugs, smoke weed.
Okay. You gotta fix your internet, bro. It's just incomprehensible, just screams of vulgarity. I mean, it rules, honestly.
I like the parts about ass.
Yeah.